If you know what I mean when I say, I tried to use the laws of equivalent exchange to create a homunculus, and all I got was my brother's spirit trapped in a suit of armor, then chances are you're familiar with Fullmetal Alchemist, or Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. But how much do you really know about this popular anime franchise? Without further ado, it's time for 7 things you didn't know about Fullmetal Alchemist. Probably. Fullmetal Alchemist was created by female mangaka Hiromi Arakawa. Now some of you might be thinking, wait, my manga says Hiromu Arakawa, what's the big deal? The reality is that female writers in the manga industry often have a difficult time getting their work recognized. So Hiromi pulled a Mary Shelley and used the pen name Hiromu to avoid having her work stereotyped or ignored. This wasn't the first time she had to resort to using a male pen name to help gain acceptance either. In fact, for her first paying job in the manga industry, she wrote short comics under the moniker Edmund Arakawa. So whether you think of her as Hiromi, Hiromu, Edmund, or that manga writer who ripped your heart out with some of the most emotionally gripping drama to ever hit anime, one thing is for sure, this farm girl certainly knows how to make some great manga. When Arakawa began conceiving of Fullmetal Alchemist, she started with this simple idea, that it would be cool to have things come out of the wall or from the ground like magic. And let's be honest, she's not wrong. But magic was central to the plot of many manga, so she wanted to figure out a different way to make that happen. Research led her to the concept of the Philosopher's Stone, and she started planning the story around that. But as she continued to research, she found herself fascinated with the concepts of alchemy and realized this was what her story should focus on instead. However, it should be noted that the Philosopher's Stone was a key plot point in the anime, serving as a MacGuffin to further parts of the narrative. The original plot for Fullmetal Alchemist was very different than the story we know today. Arakawa had planned to center the story around an 18-year-old main character whose partner was his father. Well, that sounds interesting until you find out his father's soul was attached to a flying squirrel. After further thought, she realized 18 was too old for the typical shonen audience to connect to, and replaced the squirrel dad with little brother Alphonse, whose soul becomes trapped in a suit of armor. This concept of Alphonse and the armor was inspired by the restless armor from the video game Dragon Quest. The 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist anime diverges from the story of the manga. Many fans became convinced that the changes were done without Arakawa's consent and against her wishes. The truth is that it was still early in the manga's run when the anime was being developed, and she did not have the plot of the entire series planned out yet. She assisted with the early development of the anime, but ultimately decided that they should create the scripts themselves, and that the manga and anime should end differently, since she still had a lot of story left to create. Because of the massive popularity of Fullmetal Alchemist, a second anime adaptation was created, but this time they were able to stay faithful to the source material, and fans of the manga finally got the story they were aching for with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. As we've discussed in other episodes, character names in anime often have a lot of meaning behind them. Fullmetal Alchemist is no exception. Many of the military characters are named after World War II vehicles. For example, Kane Fury for FJ-1 Fury Jet, Gene Havoc for the Mi-28 Havoc fighter helicopter, Riza Hawkeye for the E-2 Hawkeye. Maze Hughes could be named for any of the Howard Hughes designed aircraft used in the war, Roy Mustang for the P-51 Mustang, and even Hawkeye's dog Black Hayate is named for the Japanese fighter jet the Nakajima Ki-84 Hayate. And it's not just vehicles. Ed and Al's dad, the powerful alchemist Van Hohenheim, is named for the absurdly long-named real-life 16th century alchemist Philippus Aurelius Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim, who also went by the pen name Paracelsus, probably because he got tired of writing his own name. As for our main characters, some rumors claim that Ed is named for Edward Scissorhands, but most evidence leads to the conclusion that Arakawa chose the names Edward and Alphonse the same way she chose many of the minor characters, by randomly flipping through a Western baby name dictionary, putting her finger on a name, and using that for the character. The one character whose name seems to be surrounded by the most controversy and confusion is Winry. There are people who believe that Arakawa intended to name her Windy, and due to a mistranslation or misspelling, the name was changed to Winry. Others claim it's just an old Welsh name or a shortened form of the name Winifred. The theory we like is that she was named after the Winley Tool Company in Taiwan, which seems to fit based on her mechanical prowess. The voice actors for the American dub of Fullmetal Alchemist were already voicing their characters before they ever started on the first episode of the show. The game Fullmetal Alchemist and the Broken Angel was set for its US release only 2.5 months after the anime premiered on Adult Swim, so they had to record their characters' lines for the game before they had a real sense of how they would play those roles in the show. It's nothing like getting a full understanding of your character through a series of battle grunts. Sometimes you just gotta surprise your voice actors. Vic Mignogna, who voices Edward Alric in the American dub, was often shown only partial scripts, and his lines were all recorded in chronological order. Because of this, he was able to express genuine surprise when he found out what was on the other side of the Gate of Truth, and what originally happened after the Tucker incident. Of course, surprise can also be dangerous. For example, while recording a scene where Alphonse was hit with a teacup, supposedly a teacup was tossed at voice actor Aaron Dismuke's face. That's why I only allow pouches of Capri Sun in the VO booth. Hey, here's a fun fact for you. I went to school with Travis Willingham, the voice of Roy Mustang. He is twice as large as me in real life. And those are 7 things you probably didn't know about Fullmetal Alchemist, and a little bit about me personally. Did we miss anything? Do you prefer the 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist anime or Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Come back every Tuesday for new videos, and be sure to check out all the great content right here on Anime Vice.